your tail is a target.
Galactic Interstellar Council on Revolution Radio Studio A, Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Join us as we traverse the starseed paradigm, as expressed in the time-space continuum that we know as the divine expression of love and light. Integrating this conscious unity into the galactic paradigm. So welcome all, terrestrial beings and galactic beings as one. So be it. You're listening to Revolution Radio.
My name's Jimmy. You're listening to Revolution Radio and MacDonald in the Morning. Right here, right now. And now, Mr. MacDonald, are you there?
I love that tune.
Yeah, me too. And it is a bitter...
Where's that from? I mean, that is like when I was like... I mean, that goes right back to like my 20s. When is that from? That's a Canadian band too, if I remember correctly.
I think it's The Verve is the name of the band. The Verve.
Oh,
yeah.
Sweet symphony.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, isn't life a bittersweet symphony? It is, man.
Yeah, it can be, man.
Well, you know, it's a pretty interesting turn of events last night.
Dude, dude, you gotta tell me, because I'm on a news fast. Seriously, man, I'm on a news fast. I can't watch it anymore. It disturbs my peace. I mean, I get the big ideas. Like, if they really want you to know something, you'll see it 100 times in Facebook. It'll pop up in your recommendations in YouTube. But the subtleties of it and what's going on, I'm not following. I'm keeping myself clean here. Like a royal virgin for after the election, Jimmy, so I can comment effectively. I'm on a news fast, man. Tell us what's going on.
Well, Donald J. Trump tested positive for COVID-19 yesterday. Him and his wife. Apparently, it was Hope Hicks, super hot chick that he has working for him. Apparently, she was the carrier. And so now he is in quarantine for 14 days.
My God.
He's showing symptoms today. There's quite a bit of speculation going on, man. So, I mean, it's literally a turn of events. I mean, if I was a script writer, realistically, isn't it the most... I would say passive way out of this whole situation if there was some health issue that forced the president not to have to not to finish his run. I mean, that would pretty much eliminate all the problems for right now, wouldn't it? I mean, as far as any kind of Civil War solutions. I mean, it's
absolutely.
I mean, it's if he was to go away quietly, there may be even potential for his children to be able to run later. See,
Yeah.
but if he's to stay in there and make it through to the other side, his children probably are not going to have any real chance of becoming president, because I'm 100% sure if he gets in, the Democrats will do everything they can to destroy that economy.
Yeah. So when I said I'm on a news fast, I'm talking about the short cycle, the daily stuff, but I'm earnestly applying my perception to the big picture here. And I find what you said just staggering, absolutely staggering. So and a lot of people, a lot of my friends, like not Rev Radio friends, a lot of my Canadian, I know a lot of super smart people, dude. I was raised in the capital city of Canada. A lot of people I grew up with. I'm 54. My brother's 55. A lot of my friends and my brother's friends I grew up with, they've gone on to like very powerful positions in Canada. And I still talk to them. I'm like the eccentric guy. Hey, there's Ross's brother Bruce. He's written literary fiction, and now he's writing this crazy ass nonfiction about UFOs. But they know me and they like me, and I talk to them on Facebook and stuff. And I've been hearing this for a while, and I've just been brushing them off, going, that's just wishful thinking, right? But they're going, no, Trump's going to lay down. Now, the lay down narrative has been there since the beginning. People thought he was going to do it in his first year, that he never wanted to be president, right? Now, to resurrect the lay down narrative right as he segues into a second term, you know what, Jimmy? It moves the arrow on my believability meter. I'm not saying it's true, but it moves the arrow, right? If I took a lie detector test to see if I believed Trump was laying down right now, my heart would give me away possibly that I kind of believe it's possible. We're not trying to discourage people, are we, Jimmy?
No, I mean, look, I all I do is I look at the landscape, and I see what's there, and I try to think, from a perspective of playing a game, because I mean it's a game, and it's just
Yeah.
So I mean, I could just make. I mean, look, I'm a creative writer. Here, let me write you up a little dialogue. Let me write you a little dialogue. So a man in black comes to the thing and says, "Look, we got a really great way to get you out of this situation. Look, if you stay in, you're gonna win, and but the economy is gonna go down, and the name Trump is gonna be bad forever. If you get sick and just sort of fade out of the situation, we can eliminate everything that's been built up until this point. We can relieve the steam. You can just disappear and fade out. Pence can go up against Biden.
They might even offer him a favorable historical narrative where their media lackeys wait 6 months or a year and start to see, you know what, Trump wasn't all bad. He did this, this, and this, and actually leave him with a bit of a legacy and say, yeah, we gave him a real hard time. We thought he was another Richard Nixon and we were wrong, but they could even leave him a bit of legacy. Dude, you're winning me over with this laydown narrative. If I were like the devilish man in black going around making deals, man in black being a Jesuit or something like that at this point, not an extraterrestrial, but if I were the guy going to Trump's camp, talking to Trump and trying to put this whole deal together, my mind would to solve this problem would immediately go to a really good laydown narrative where and I'm sure there's cheddar too. You don't get as far as he's gotten and shake their world as much as he's shaken without earning something, and they got nothing but gold and silver to pay him. So look, folks, I'm not trying to take a dump on the integrity of Donald Trump here, okay? But
me neither. But I the thing is like, it's the art of the deal, man.
Yes.
What does he get? What does he get if he gets the same thing for 4 more years as he gets to just go ahead and lay down? I mean, what's the point of the 4 years, man? I mean, he's not hell bent on changing America, man. I mean, not in the sense that things are gonna ever go back to the way they were. I mean,
Yeah.
for all I know, I mean, this thing here, I'll show you how this storyline can also kill any people trying to back up on the vaccine because they think hydroxychloroquine is the cure. Well, so if Trump has COVID-19 right now and he doesn't take hydroxychloroquine and cure himself, then they're going to kill two things at the same time with this piece of the storyline, because then that eliminates people's idea that hydroxychloroquine is going to help them, and then the next thing you'll see maybe is some sort of saline injection on TV where the Trump family lines up for their first doses of the vaccine on TV.
Oh, wow. Wow. All right. This is a dire picture for a Friday morning, and the beautiful month of October too, Jimmy. Although the leaves aren't turning here, I remember being in a very beautiful month. This is
Well,
when they make big moves, is in the fall too, eh?
uh,
The harvest season leading up to Halloween is a big, big time for the organizers, architects, and controllers of our reality and their astrotheology and all of this stuff. The September and October, the harvest, when the crops come in, when the preparation for winter and keeping the tribe alive. It's always been a very ritualistic, very special time. It's carried over to the financial world. The third quarter is the most important. Yeah, all the big collapses and all the chaos, it always begins when the kids go back to school, right? September, October. Kids aren't even going back to school this year, right? They aren't even going. Do you know that my nephews and nieces over here have been out of school for 2 years now? Because Costa Rica had a teacher strike last year and they missed the whole year. And then COVID started, and dude, my nieces and nephews have not been to school for 2 years. They're 2 years older, and Costa Rica is just going to push them forward. They were in the fourth grade. When they go back, they're in the sixth grade. Right? This is the weirdest world I've ever seen in my life, man. It's like some Chinese company that sells puzzles screwed up, and they mixed a bunch of different puzzle pictures together in the same box.
yeah.
It's crazy, dude. It's a Japanese subway sign, man. I cannot read. I can't read this.
Well, I
But
mean, I had a lot of fun the other night watching the debate. Okay, because there was a lot of angst and everything leading up to it. I mean, I had fun watching it. Okay, I mean, as an entertainment piece, but I mean, as a debate for the two contenders for the presidential appointment of the United States of America, I thought it was actually really disgraceful. And I mean, I
yeah,
think there was absolutely no class involved in anything that went on there. I think it was
totally agree.
and the thing about it is that the opinion of the rest of the world and the talking points that are being passed out is that is an exact representation of the decline of the American dominance in the world, that we are a system who is in decline.
Yeah,
You can look at us as the example of what this kind of a
dude.
political assessment, and look at it and see exactly what happens when you have a democratic republic. I mean, it's nothing but
The
corruption,
the
fascism.
Your
Go ahead.
European intellectuals have already hit this point in the last few months. That former finance minister for Greece, who took the country through the austerity period and became a vocal critic of the IMF and a champion of the Greek people. He's given a few, I forget his name, Spiro something. He's a Greek dude. He looks like a character from the Addams Family. But, he's done a few interviews. He habitually refers to the United States as a failed state now. The failed state of the United. Now, mind you, he's a straight up Marxist. I mean, self-declared, right? And this is a thing that we North Americans don't really understand, right? Is that European politics goes full left and full right. It's the whole spectrum, and most countries have a lot more than two political parties.
Hmm.
Same thing in Canada. We have more than two political parties. We have four now, right? One just represents Quebec at a federal level, the French. It's really bizarre the way Canadian politics work. Point is, people are calling the United States a failed state. So you're listening to the first 30 minutes, okay? What do you think this has all been about? I mean, if they're stopping Trump, they're shutting him down, and they're bringing the United States back into the globalist agenda. What was the last 4 years about? What's going on in Great Britain? Why are they leaving Brexit? You see, I've entertained the laydown theory, and it is a good theory. But here's my final verdict. Like I said, on the believability meter, the arrow would move, but it wouldn't go beyond 50%. These dudes are up to something nobody knows about, dude. Whatever's going on in the world now, it comes down to the people. It's all the temple people now, dude. It's the people who created Israel, okay? It's the United Countries, the United Kingdom of Great Britain, the United States of America, and the United Kingdom of Israel. This is the pivot, okay? Here's my theory, dude. And I know you don't like to talk. We'll drop this potato afterwards. But look, dude, it's newsworthy, and it's not anti-Semitic. It's just an observation. You can't even say Jew without getting into trouble. But you can't help but notice this. You got the two countries that built Israel, and Israel was built by the United Kingdom of Great Britain and the United States of America because those were the homes of the largest Jewish diasporas. Okay? So it was Britain until after World War II, and then the United States. And the creation and protection of Israel and guiding it to this point has always been in those two very Masonic countries, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and the United States of America. So the isolation I see in the world now is these three countries. And these three countries are not lazy planners. They would not, if I'm right, they would not do all of this for Trump to lay down, unless they found another way to finish that plan. You see, yeah Trump may lay. What are the Republicans going to do? Are they going to field another Trump-like character if he lays down to fill out his agenda because that's what the people asked for? Or are they going to slip some quiet, somnambulistic, never-Trumper from the Republican Party into power? Even if the laydown narrative is true, we don't know if it's the end of the separation narrative. I don't think it is a separation narrative. Dude, honestly, I think this has been the plan from day one.
Me too.
Globalization ruled from Jerusalem, the temple people, okay?
Well,
they are the center of the West. They are the center of the Western world, the cradle of a system of religious study that encompasses 3 billion people with the Christians and the Jews. They control 26 of the 28 major prophets in the rabbinical schools. We have 2 freakish offshoots pivoting off of one prophet each, the Christians and the Mohammedans, okay? And I'm telling you, man, this just makes complete sense to me. Whatever's going on now, it's religious, folks. It's the end story of the Abrahamic narrative because that's the story that has to cycle out.
I don't disagree with you on what you're saying on the points that you're making, but I disagree with you in your final analysis because what I see is that there is going to be a world order, and the UK and America are the two things that are basically standing really in the way of that. So you have China, you have the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, China, and somebody.
India.
India. So you have the BRIC system, which is another sort of world currency potential, like we have in America being the world reserve currency. So the move away from this American world reserve currency and to move more into this BRIC idea and the rise of Asia, Kazakhstan will be the capital of the New World Order. Astana. This will be where the leader of whatever government develops, and then the other sitting parliament or however they have that get it organized. So the Belt and Road Initiative that's been going on in the world. I honestly, if I was to just look at it from a strategic standpoint, and everybody as players and nobody in a party, I would send. Trump could be the guy because he's got so much bankruptcy experience. Trump would be the good guy to put in there, and maybe this whole 4 years was about the moment that Trump signed that $6 trillion aid package
Yeah.
that basically destroyed America as we know it. The middle class at this point, people that had jobs, are completely dependent on the money that's coming in because the economy's been destroyed. So I
Yeah.
mean, dude, there's so much going on all at once that this Civil War narrative or the Civil War idea that we've been hearing about, all these things are possible. And man, like I mean, the laydown puts everything where it needs to be without a bad
Yeah.
guy. Without a bad guy.
Yeah. I just want to tell the listeners at home, for anyone who is completely lost by what Jimmy said when he segued over to Kazakhstan, um, that is spelled Kazakhstan. Give that a Google and go to the images tab. Look at the cities in Kazakhstan. This is not the first time I've heard what Jimmy is saying. You got to do this. If you're at home on your computer, folks, look at Kazakhstan. You are looking at some of the most modern cities in the world now, replete with globalist symbolism 3.0. If 2.0 is Washington, D.C., Vatican City, with all of the monoliths and all of that sort of old Masonic symbolism, Kazakhstan seems to be taking this symbolist architecture and city design structure to a whole new level, making it very believable, very, very believable.
I will tell you
that it may be a center of whatever new world order is coming in.
I believe it will be the main center. Now, the ideology of what's going on there is interesting too, because you have a population that does not engulf the construction that they've done. In 2017, they had a thing called I'm pretty sure it was called Expo 2017. I'm not 100%. There might have been another title to it, but what they did is they invited and they built a huge green facility, and they invited all these people to come in with this technology, man. And they had this giant conglomerate. I mean, that city is literally built how the sun tracks. It's built like cities of the future will be built, and like cities from the past were not built. Specifically, in relation to, I mean, when you talk about, say, Washington D.C., you can see there's a geometric layout on these particular cities. For example, you see Washington D.C. There's another one here in Australia. So when you look from the sky down at Astana, the first thing you can notice, if you go take a look at Google Earth, you'll see a pentagram there.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a pentagram that's literally etched into the earth.
That's incredible.
It's
so
wild.
Folks, we've been conditioned to gaze at our navels as Canadians and Americans, right? United States and North Americans. All of our media and all of our culture has told us there's nothing else to look at in the world, and we've been navel gazing for a few decades now. Let me tell you, as a traveled man, the world has not only caught up with North America, in many ways it's surpassed North America. Here's a headline: Kazakhstan embraces facial recognition, civil society recoils, EurasiaNet. Okay, so and when you look at these cities, they're just so well built and so well designed and so beautiful architecturally. Like, it's something new is happening in the world now. Like that, there's you can see a brain power and a vision and a revealing going on in the design and development of these cities, like the ones in Kazakhstan. And go ahead, Jimmy.
I was just going to say, I mean, there's a Space Needle representation there that looks down the main straight down the main drag. There's a pyramid there. And this pyramid is a theater, and it's the journey that you make from the pit up as you rise in consciousness. As you go up from the bottom floors of this pyramid up to the top, it's the representation of the spirit's journey to illumination. It's literally, you could do a few hours on some of the things that are going on there. The Astana Kazakhstan World Expo 2017 was the thing I was talking about. And there's plenty of videos. Maybe on the break, I'll see if I can find one that speaks and doesn't just show you what's going on there.
Yeah.
Honestly, if it would be one of the places I'd like to visit, before I passed away. It's really, really,
Yeah, you got to see this, folks. The bridges. Look for this one picture. Google this, okay? River-powered skyscraper designed for Kazakhstan. Look at this building, man, and you tell me if anywhere in the Western world you see anything this advanced. It looks like it's like a building sitting on a bridge that crosses a river, and it's got a big circle that passes right through the center of it, right? It's like it's an office building, and it's powered by the river. So the electrical damming or the electrical power is built right into the foundations of the building that use the river for hydroelectric. River-powered skyscraper. It's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling.
So,
okay?
I mean, potentially this city is a representation of what the future could possibly look like,
Yes.
or hold. And so this darkness and this mess and this funk and this sewage that we find ourselves swimming in over here in the Western world is all specifically because...
See you on the other side, folks.
Radio at freedomslips.com.
You there? We're over here on my channel, but I'm on my backup channel because I got a copyright strike. So there's only a couple people over here. Lee's over here, Carl, and Kenny. Hey, let me see. Let me just click on. I wanted to get rid of that so I could click on one of these videos and see if it's got any good audio for us. Stand by, Bruce. Come on, you prick. Oh my God. These ads are too much.
The main attraction of what really brought me to Astana, Kazakhstan, and that is the World Expo 2017. This expo is all about renewable energy. Kazakhstan, and that is the World Expo 2017. Today, I am at the main attraction of what really brought me. Today, I am at the main attraction of what really brought me to Astana.
Okay, I got something we can listen to. I'm sorry, Bruce. I've been muted this whole time. I got us a little chunk about Kazakhstan. Here, I was trying to get it going. That's why I boned us off the network. I'm going to go back. Here we go. Scooby.
It's Solaris Blue Raven. Solaris will bring you an array of unique guests covering topics from ghostly spirits to amazing anomalies, covert technology, UFOs, and shadowy global events.
And that's right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Saturdays, midnight till 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Let the magic rise.
in the case of purely internal affairs, be quiet. But by a 2/3 majority, in the case of more than quiet. I order you to be quiet. Look, you stupid bastard, you've got no arms left.
It's a lonely night.
Look, it's just a flesh wound. I don't believe it.
Everybody's
Display of courage, skill,
been turning around,
stupidity. I'll do you for that. Oh, what?
looking for a
What are you
friendly
gonna do?
light.
Bleed on me? I'm invincible. You're a loony.
But I see
Night
nothing.
always comes.
Roundtable Live Monday through Friday, 1 a.m. till
No
4 a.m. Eastern Time. Bring your mind, bring your ideas,
No
bring your
eyes
voice.
on
King
me.
Arthur had nothing on us. Here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com.
It's a lonely night. Everybody's happy. But I see nothing. No eyes. No eyes on me.
My name is Jimmy. It's Revolution Radio. Somehow, some way, you have found MacDonald in the morning. Just a moment, please.
So many maybes, so many ways, so many ladies.
And that is the World Expo 2017. This expo is all about renewable energy, clean energy, sustainable development, and countries throughout the world have their exhibits here and their new technologies and different ways that they have created to keep things green and keep things sustainable. I'm especially really excited to see the US and South Korea's exhibit here, especially since the US is my home country and South Korea was my home for the last 3 years. Which one do you guys think is going to be the most interesting, or out of all the countries here, what do you think is going to be the most innovative, or what country do you think will have the most progressive and sustainable energy for the future? I have no idea.
There you go, Bruce. I'm going to stop it
Yeah.
there. I'm going to stop it there just for a second, just because.
You know what I'm doing, bro?
What's that?
I'm looking at a map, and I'm looking at Kazakhstan. I mean, the situation of the situating of this country is perfect for a new world order, man.
I know.
You know what, dude? You know, we forget, man, how friggin' big Russia is. I'm looking at the map now on Google Maps.
I know. Look at that.
Russia's 5 times bigger than the rest of Europe put together. Like when you look at Europe, it looks like a bunch of city-states like New York and Los Angeles. They're like these countries are, except for France and Germany, have a little bit of land, but they're pretty tiny. Russia is just this like mammoth undertaking here. It's, the biggest country in the world, sitting right at the border of, and Kazakhstan's pretty big too.
Yeah. And then,
right?
Yeah, and if you, it's a big tourist attraction in China to go to the border there of Kazakhstan and China. I've done quite a bit of research on Kazakhstan. It's really funny too because they made this movie that made it seem totally ridiculous with some guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was
Borat.
like, you're right,
Yeah.
Borat. That's the only, for the most part, in America, that's the only representation of Kazakhstan they've seen. Is it's look how ridiculous it is. They're out there, having sex with goats or whatever. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, dude, they have constructed. And when you think about the future, man, it's like we were saying earlier. The only thing keeping the future from moving forward into this type of a potential for future is America and the UK. The rest of everybody else is ready to move on in. And let me say, with the Belt and Road Initiative, and you think of the potential in the future for, say, 18-wheelers, completely driverless, just moving goods and things all across into Europe and everywhere. I mean, the potential is literally there for it, man. And look, China right now is also making a move. Now, all these people talk about these ghost cities in China.
Yeah.
So what China did is they reversed a lot of they reversed the model. It used to be that you would go someplace, you would build a road, and then eventually, because that road was there, towns would form around the road, right? So what they did was they built towns ahead of the road, so that all they needed to do is bring in these workers from, say, Africa or wherever they bring them in. They bring them in to start building this road, and those workers and what the monies that they make move them into these cities that exist before they get there. So the idea is that, and from a world perspective, the Belt and Road Project, in conjunction with worldwide internet access, will literally lift most of the world that's in poverty out of poverty. They'll have money to spend, and not just in the areas that we know of, but just in general. When they turn on the amount of money that's available, when they get access to people that don't have internet now, when they get internet, all of a sudden this whole new marketplace develops that wasn't there before.
Yeah. Here's another thing. Who built Kazakhstan? Like, what financed it? Are they a big natural gas country? Because that looks like a pretty plush place, man. Looks like when you look at those cities, they look like, those places in the world that have always sat at the top of an economy, raking in money from the colonies, right? Like the way London used to be, or like a lot of money and energy going into things. And there's also this idea that North Americans do everything cutting edge, and if something happens in another country, it's because there's been a call for foreign labor resources and intellectual resources. It goes on in technology. Dude, you'd be amazed where I get job offers. I get job offers out of Kuwait. I get job offers all over the world, man. And when I ask myself when I look at Kazakhstan is, like, who built it? Because, I mean, the architecture is like, where do you see the river-powered skyscraper, folks? I mean, it's like, it's Frank Lloyd Wright level architecture.
And they combined all this different type of architecture from around the world. In other words, they went.
Who did this?
It was the one leader guy. I can't think of his name now. But if you look in that Space Needle thing that they have, at the very top of it, it looks out over the city, and there's a gold plate. It's about 6 inches thick, and it has a handprint in it. My contention has always been that when the leader arrives and puts his hand in that golden dish, that he will be the one that everybody's been waiting for. Everybody thinks is on his way, and when that person puts his hand in that dish, he will take control of this world.
Now, in terms of religious mythopoetics, would that be a protagonist character or an antagonist character?
Well, I guess that all depends on where you sit. But I'll tell you this. The world's ready to move forward, and the thing is we've been socially engineered in a lot of different ways, and one of the ways is to not want to participate in something that's called sustainable development, because sustainable development is equated right across the board. This is meme technology, okay? This is weaponized technology. When I say that word, you think of something, because you don't have time, you don't have the space in your brain to keep everything, and they know that. So what they do is they create memes like that, Where if I say sustainable development, you immediately think of Agenda 21. It's not American. It's this, it's that, and the other thing, and all those points are memes. That meme is passed on just like a virus. So the thing is somehow everything that appears to be good for us in a lot of ways is then not. We don't see it as good. So we're over here fighting against it. Meanwhile, Expo 2017 was over there. They built the whole thing. People came in with their technologies and helped build it. And the expo went away, but the technology remains. Now, they combine all the different religions there.
Mm-hmm.
So all religions are welcome. They have different, different construction, religious type structures that are built there for everybody. And they really feel like they are on the cutting edge of the future, and I wish America could be the same, But we're over here acting like that debate. That debate is a complete representation of the rest of the world. That's what they think Americans are, man. I mean, that debate defines the rest of the world's opinion of what Americans are.
Yes. Yeah, failed state. You just shut up. Can't shut him up. Yeah, dude, I hear you, man.
Meanwhile, they didn't.
It's a very subtle but chilling conversation we're having this morning. Here's my question, man, to egg you on in this massively awesome thesis. Why is there so much? Why can't America produce a leader that just tells them the truth, that walks up on a podium and shows them some pictures of Kazakhstan and other places in the world and say, look, folks, the world is moving. We're not the center anymore. We have to think differently, and we become too navel-gazing here. Why are they being deliberately misdirected? I think because when you look at what's going on in America from the context of Trump or the Democrats, there's really no clear leadership to take America into the 21st century. Trump is just like the old timer. Let's hold on to the old ways, the old ways, and the Democrats are just like, no, total lockdown, man, total Marxist lockdown. So why can't they think their way out of this? America has always been the most brilliant and innovative thinker since World War II. Why are we seeing such a lack of it now, do you think?
Well, I think most of what's going on, at least from a technological standpoint, even though we have the Silicon Valley and there's this perception that it's American, but it's not American. These companies are international. I mean, these companies could vacate their American holdings and go into other countries immediately if that was, what needed to happen. But the thing is that one of the key words, as far as looking into the future, as far as the New World Order is concerned, if we have a little bit of time, I can break out some stuff because there's some real important stuff that's happened. So,
do it.
So listen. So originally, when Obama was coming into office, they were ready to step into the New World Order at that time. So the reason and way that they need to move into the New World Order, in other words, to remove borders, is they need a way to generate tax revenues, because basically the way the world system is set up now, each country has so many tax slaves that equals so much dollars. And so that's what they use in derivative to, fund whatever it is they're doing or whatever. So they say, Joe Blow makes 60 years. He works. He's worth this amount of taxes. I got 300 million Joe Blows. That equals X amount of dollars. But so that's why we have countries. But so in order to go to a place where there is no countries, we have to be able to tax the individual. So they tried to get through the global warming carbon tax. That was what the carbon tax was all about. And so, but when Davos fell apart, when the whole hide the decline thing got found out, and the Davos thing fell apart, and China walked away, that left Obama standing there holding the bag, because he was ready for a new economy. He was going to have all these jobs where people were going out, putting up solar panels and making your house so that it was acceptable and all this, and so that whole thing fell apart. So his whole economy fell apart. So and the whole global warming things begin to fall apart. And so when that fell apart, they got no way to tax people going over the borders. So here's the thing. The main situation is what we were talking about earlier. It's the fourth world moving into a more harmonization is what is required. Everybody has to be pretty much the same across the board. So the thing that jams that up is America and the UK. So America is up too high and other countries are down too low. So what they need to do is they need to make America not be as high up on the chain, knock it down a couple notches, and also at the same time lifting up these other areas that are lower on the chain by introducing these new technologies as far as the satellites that Elon Musk is putting up, the Belt and Road project, all of the economies that are going to flourish out of that particular advent is where China and the Asia, the rise of Asia is gonna happen. And so,
Right. So let's this is absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. I want to drill down on this as you're talking. Good questions come to mind, okay? What about these narratives of a military proficiency in the United States that is not publicly known, what we commonly call the deep state and their capabilities, replete with, some say, a secret space program, a secret UFO fleet, all of these sorts of things? How come so much of what we would call America's next phase is hidden? And here's a real curveball. And I'm just asking the question, folks. I'm not pointing any fingers or making any accusations. In a weird way, if Trump was brought in to take out this deep state internally, he would be clearing the path for the globalists, because that deep state defense system is impenetrable and indomitable. It's like a mountain kingdom protected by a narrow, rocky canyon pass that if you send 10,000 soldiers up, like 100 can defend it, because you just keep picking them off in the canyon, kind of like the Spartans did to the Persians there at the beach in Greece. It puts a whole new spin on what's going on with Trump, right? It's like, taking out the deep state could have. I can't believe I'm saying this. It could have a lot of unintended consequences in terms of, America's global position.
if you look at Trump as a character like Nixon, Nixon was a character that he came in, he did what he was supposed to do, man. He got us off gold and he got us into China. Now Trump is now you see where we're at a point now where Trump is now getting us out of China, kind of, and he's separating us from China. Meanwhile, China's moving forward. There's a really important thing I gotta say before I move forward. China is trying to have another internet. They want a parallel internet with their own IP systems.
Wow.
And so this is moving forward right now. So the thing is like, if everybody just looks over at America and goes, man, we're going into the future, dude. See you later. You know what I mean? It's like, everything's already there. If you look at it, it's ready to go right now. And the only thing holding it back is America and the UK. And like you said, so we're moments away from the future. And I mean, Trump coming in here, I mean, whatever's going on, I would say that like Nixon, everything Trump has done thus far is according to plan. So we're already on the brink of totalitarian style measures as far as this vaccine and all this other stuff that's going on.
But do you think Do you think this future that they're proposing is benign? Do you think it's a future me and you would want to live in?
Well, we're not gonna. We don't. The problem is that if we were where we should be, we would be involved in the conversation about how the future was going to look. But
Yeah.
instead, we're caught up in this trying to hold on to something that doesn't fit anymore.
Yeah.
We're trying to wear a suit that we outgrew. There's more to the world and the universe than the Constitution of the United States and the Democratic Republic and how we vote and our political systems. There's a whole entire different way that we could guide ourselves in the future. But I mean, we're not even having discussions about the smallest parts about how we could move into the future. Because if we start talking about it immediately, it's the mark of the beast. If we start
Yeah.
talking about it immediately, if I start saying sustainable development, immediately I'm a democratic shill.
So how do you think that this sort of I'll just call it what it is, damn the critics. This isn't Jimmy saying this. This is me saying this. How did this religious mutation happen in the United States? How did the when you talk about the debate representing America, I'm going to say something here that a lot of people are not going to like. Your religions sort of represent you too. And realize there's nobody else behaving this way in the world. Now, evangelicism is spread a little bit, a little bit. It's in Central America a little bit. But how did this religious milieu come about in the United States where you guys became, so spiritually ignorant, so literally minded, so guided by, clearly opportunists and charlatans? Do you think it's part of the karmic pattern of the United States that the sales culture is so rooted in the consciousness that you're the easiest people to sell?
Well, the easiest person to sell is a salesperson.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, I no. There was a distinct effort made to socially engineer the population of the United States to be the consuming engine of everything. I mean, when the United States stops consuming, it used to be that the rest of the world could only sell their shit to the United States because we were the only ones who had any money. Because after World War II, basically the industrial capacity of the rest of the world had been destroyed. We didn't become the world reserve currency and America's the great country and all this just because we were great. We became
Yeah.
it because there was nothing left after World War II. And if you wanted
Yeah.
something, you had to buy American. So,
Yeah.
so the thing is that I love my country. I love the country that I grew up in. This is not the same situation anymore. And I think what you're talking about is the spiritual aspect of having a connection to your creator and whoever you believe in is one thing. But the thing is helping other people became a money making operation.
Yes.
So the thing
Yes.
is like none of the religions that you see that are prevalent in a high dollar where they make a lot of money, none of those religions go out and help people because they have it in their heart to do so. They're doing it because they make money doing it. A lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money. So it's not where the gift is coming from actually does matter. You know what I mean? If I'm giving you something because I want something back, that's not really a gift. That has conditions and that has expectations. And so the bottom line is, we've been conditioned to be guided by our emotions. I have tape of Timothy Leary at a party admitting that him and his team turned America into pleasure seekers.
Yeah.
America being pleasure seekers with fat wallets full of American dollars floating all over the world is what was
Yeah.
necessary, but it's not necessary anymore. Once we built the first computer and somebody else cloned it and figured out how to do it themselves, at that point,
Yeah.
we were no longer necessary. And at this point, Google has no reason not to help any country that wants their help. So,
Yeah, but dude, here's the thing about a lot of these tech companies, right? Like Google. Do you know how easy it would be to create a competitor to Google? Like if it became the national interest of a country, like China said, okay, let's put some time and effort into it. Not that hard, man. It's like a 3-month project. There's surprisingly little technology behind Google. Basically, the one thing they might have that's proprietary is some search algorithms. But I mean, man, there's so many people who can dream up new algorithms now, man, coming out of computer science and computer engineering programs all over the world. So I mean, this sort of dominance we seem to have in technology now, again, like the debates and like the religion, it's paper thin. I mean, it's not really technology. It's Google, it's Facebook, it's Instagram, it's Twitter. Again, it's all part. How did we start our conversation? The navel-gazing America. The navel-gazing America. Instead of looking at the world and seeing what's going on, you guys have been conditioned to just look at yourself all the time like you're living in a hall of mirrors.
Well, I mean, it's the thing is, it's not, and the thing is, it's not. It's not willful, man. People are not doing this because they're willful. They're doing this because this is what they've been taught. We've all been taught. We've all been taught this, man. We've all been taught this, that we're not good enough unless you got the red Corvette. You are not going to get the captain of the cheerleader team.
Yeah. See you on the other side, folks.
I'm just removing that for a second just because I wanted to tell you, Batsman over in the chat at Revolution Radio, he said, did Bruce and Jimmy got past an envelope this morning?
Yeah, no, these people are these people can't think, man. You know. I hardly even go into chat ever, right?
Dude, that is so funny. Do you know did you know when I was doing the Kev Baker show, dude, there was people out there making videos about us, making videos about how I was a witch, and there was another bunch of guys that were saying me and Kev were KGB operatives. There was a bunch of videos. Man, I mean, come on, dude. You can't even talk about the future without somebody saying something like that. And it's funny. You know what? I'm going to bring it up when we come back. Because I was thinking about
it, man. Take us in for the first 2 or 3 minutes. I'm just going to put the kettle on, make some fresh coffee.
Yeah, okay? Me too. I'm going to grab a coffee too. Let me get a song set up. See, it's fucking lights in my face. Here we go.
For listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the internet. Please help support this station so this battle can continue forward. Revolution Radio!
Brother, brother, help me please. I'm as lonely as I can be. All my friends are scaring me. But if you forget me, then I will be. Yeah.
My name's Jimmy. It's Revolution Radio.
Sister, sister, what can I do? I'm in love with Tootsie Too. Please excuse me if I am low, but my feelings have to show. Hold my hand. Where in the hell is this promised land?
Oh man, it's hard to turn that off. That's Tommy, the late great Tommy Bolin. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jimmy, and somehow you have tapped in to MacDonald in the morning. Damn. What a genius.
Righteous. Let me throw out the digits there quickly. 864-810-1039. Give us a call, man, and let us know what you think. We're just playing some geopolitical handball, you know, like fat Italian guys in Brooklyn on a hot summer day. We're not looking to nail anything down, you know. We're just thinking out loud. We're not getting SWIFT transfers from, you know, Switzerland or anything like that. We're just thinking out loud, folks. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, no, it's, you know, we got a chat room going over freedomslips.com. There's 31 people over there. Marcus, Maced 139, Eagle Flowers over there. Hey, Cannon, what's going on? I haven't seen you in a while. Troy Boy, Navy. Mona's over there. Phillips over there. Boy Solomon, Monster, Dry Fly Guy, Captain Fred, Lady Horse, Blasphemous Buddha, Jer Bear, Gino, 808, Pat Rabbit, Hummingbird, Omega Logos, The Jurist, LB. Stay tuned. Coming up directly after MacDonald in the morning. Dare to Think Out Loud with the LB, Jurist, LB Bork, Wall E, Saul Rosenberg, Popsicle Toes, Mr. Rowe, Comet, Batsman. No, we didn't get any checks, Batman. We're just talking about the future, and sometimes the future. You know, you know what I was thinking about it yesterday. You know, I took the wrong turn. I think when I got into radio, Bruce. I think what I should have done is used my powers for evil instead of good, because, you know, if I was a shill, I'd probably be rich. I mean, it's so easy to convince. So many.
I get called that. Yeah. I get called that sometimes too.
Well, no,
I'm like, you know, shilling for who, man? Like, what are you talking about?
That's what I'm saying, man. Look,
the abacus seed. I'm shilling for the abacus seedling companies. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, well, I'm bringing you their geopolitical perspective.
Yeah, the point is, you know, there's all these dudes on the internet, these characters that are just made up. Characters that made up some shit, and they're out there, and I swear you could go watch them. You go to their YouTube channel, they're making like $1,000, $2,000 a night in tips from people
Yeah.
throwing them $100 at a time because they made up
Yeah.
some story and they read a few self-help books and put together their own metaphysical concept of what reality really is or isn't, and they get a
Yeah.
bunch of people to jump in line and fall on it. It's no different than these religious fools like these big super churches. What's
Yeah.
that guy, Joel Osteen? Yeah,
Yeah.
Joel Osteen is come on, man.
Hey, dude, I want to get I want to get back to your general thesis,
Please.
and I want to add something to it. If you've heard of this already, I'll be remarkably impressed. There's a story now known mainly only to Canadians now. It's part of a growing urban lore in Canada. That there's a world coming in which Canada is extremely important. And the reason is that the world has naturally warmed up a little bit. And naturally, I mean that it's happening in the whole solar system. It's not a product of human behavior on the planet. And this warming has broken the ice in the Arctic, and the main shipping thoroughfare in the world now is going to be what's called the Northern Passage. And Canada has territorial and what you would call lock rights or toll rights on that waterway. And there's this whole thesis emerging that Canada is being primed to be a big, big player in this new world. So, you got the Belt
Yes.
and Road Initiative, which
Yes.
is land transportation, Jimmy.
No.
But
Did you know that there's a giant Belt and Road facility that has just been completed in Canada? That
I was unaware.
last week I was going to do a show on Belt and Road, and I was looking into it because the first thing the reason why is because I've done shows on it before, but I saw this Belt and Road facility in Canada, and I was like, huh? Because all of a sudden, all of this ties in, all of this Canadian friendly behavior between them and China seems like it's going to be really important. And if you think about it, I mean, right from Canada into North America, right into Mexico. So I mean, you see, like in the New World Order, this will be sort of a, like, even think of the Amero. Remember the old Amero conspiracy theory?
Yeah.
Well, what if there was a digital currency called the Amero, where it combined Canada, America, and Mexico?
Well, man, I happened to see our very own David Dubine of Revolution Radio does a brilliant show, folks. What is it, Wednesday night, Jimmy? I forget. And he talks about the grand solar minimum and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's a great show. You should definitely
Yeah.
tune into that.
Super smart guy, super well researched,
Yeah.
global traveler, speaks multiple languages, lived in one of my adopted countries for a number of years, Taiwan. Super cool guy. He did an interview with Rex Bear on Leak Project last night, and he was describing a cryptocurrency in which the digital currency would become the basis of a monthly basic income.
Yes.
But there would be value depreciation on the digital currency over 30 days. They were going to build in incentives into it to spend as much as you could. And it's worth your while to watch it, unless he redoes the topic on Rev Radio, which would be great. But it's fascinating. Do you know anything about this?
Yeah, I do. As a matter of fact, I don't know as much about it as he does, and I've definitely learned stuff from him and his broadcasts about some of it. As far as he gave me a buzzword, and then I went and looked at stuff, and the thing about it is there's a whole bunch of things that tie into that too, because the when they passed this last bill, the CARES Act, they tried to hide this piece in there where they were going to give you your money in these new Federal Reserve digital bucks, the new Bitcoin style Fed buck. Mm-hmm. And they almost snuck it through, but they got thrown out at the last minute. And they were blaming it on Pelosi, like Pelosi tried to sneak it in, but we got it out, like kind of something like that. But it's coming, man. And so the thing is all they got to do is, like he's saying, is to create this money and put it on this credit card thing and have you spend it into the economy. Because without money being spent into the economy, it's worthless. So once everybody agrees, we have an agreement reality where we all agree we're going to use it. Then I think, you know, I'm stoked. I'd love to go. He was on the Leak Project last night. I'm gonna go look at the video after the show. But maybe we could get it. Maybe we could get him to join us next Friday. Let's see what we can do.
That would be phenomenal.
Let's see if we can do that, man.
Yeah. I just forgot what I was gonna say, man. I had something right on the tip. I was gonna get back to our main thesis that we're discussing today, and you know, going right back to the first half hour before you joined, and your take on why, Great Britain and the United States have become so anachronistic to the world that is emerging. Do you see anything in the emerging world that you don't want to be a part of, that you find a bit spooky? And another thing I want to point out to people, do you agree with the idea? Look, when these international bodies look at nations and start to praise nations, I'll tell you what they're looking for, folks. It's got nothing to do with political title like communist or capitalist. What they're looking for is the number of people lifted out of poverty. And India and China have lifted more people out of poverty in the last 30 years than any countries on the planet. China has literally lifted hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. And that's no small task when you think about it. They've got more people housed and fed in China than any other place in the world. There's very little homelessness in China. Very little. And, you know, they did it very, very quickly, like almost in one generation, right? Because, Jimmy, I got the clock on all of this. I was in Taiwan in 92, man. You know, there was nothing. The whispers were there. China's building. It was like Mordor in the Fellowship of the Rings in the first book. You know, the hint of China to come. By the time I left in '94, I could see that the future was China. It absolutely was. But they did it so quickly, man. So like from the early '90s to now, they did it in about 28 years, 30 years. And it was the policies Deng Xiaoping put in place, the guy that ran the joint for, you know, a couple decades after Mao Zedong. And
well, the thing is they took away all the pollution and all the things associated with being an industrial country, and they incentivized people to go to China. And so they moved the very thing that was propelling the economy in America for the middle class. They moved that very thing out of the country, and then they told everybody, hey, man, it's a service economy. You know, so everybody got into this service economy thing. Well, guess what, man? What's the first thing you cut out when you don't have any money, man? Services. I used to have a landscaper. Paid him $100. I'm not for real. I'm just making this up. I used to have a landscaper. I paid him $100 a month, but now I don't have any money. First thing I do, get rid of the landscaper. You know what I mean? So the thing is, it's musical chairs, right? And the music's about to stop, if it hasn't stopped already. And they're talking about in open face, I mean bold face, like saying the word deep state for how many years now? 4 years. I mean, the minute there was anything called the deep state in a cognizant country, we would do whatever we could as a people to eliminate something called the deep state, which we didn't vote in and is controlling our country, according to a lot of people. So what is the deep state specifically? Well, presidents are there for 4 to 8 years. People are in their positions in the government for their life.
Yeah.
So the beat goes on and the stuff moves forward, and we are right here, right now, by no accident. Every single thing that's happened up to this point, the racial tension, the COVID situation, the mask wearing, each one of these events has now herded us into this chute where we're basically all in a chute just like cattle, and we're waiting in line to go get our antibiotics. And we're going to get our, box of commodities. You know, the American people have been put to sleep for the most part. There's a small minority of people that are, quote unquote, awake in whatever capacity they are. And then
I got to go for like a kill shot here in terms of summing up our thesis for today, our incidental thesis, by the way. You know, when you talk about the idea of lifting people out of poverty, and you detach it from all political rhetoric, you know, like capitalism and socialism, and you just like lifting people out of poverty. Do you think there's a stigma in the American consciousness that blames the poor, like coming from that weird Protestant Puritan work ethic stuff?
If you don't have an underclass of poor people, you don't have anything to point at to motivate people out of that situation and say, you don't want to be like that, do you?
Yeah.
But it's all in the perception, right? Because if you go to some countries where people don't have any what we would consider riches, but they have a little corrugated steel shack right next to the beach.
Dude,
you know,
I'm living it.
yeah, so the guy goes out and he fishes. They don't have a bunch of clothes, but the clothes they have are clean because they wash the clothes, and they're always smiling at dinner and laughing, and and pulling out a guitar. That's existing on the world as human beings have the potential to exist. But when your capacity of human everybody gets congregated in an area, and your capacity to support that population with what exists locally exceeds that, and you have to then import or buy from other places in order to sustain your population's appetites.
Yeah.
And it's in the future, when you think about possibilities, just think about this. I watched a video yesterday where a guy went to a video game parlor, and he thought that this game that people were playing, where these lights went around in a circle, he thought the game was cheating. So he wrote an app on his phone. He 3D printed this little thing that would go up and down in a millisecond, and he put this thing over the button and put a light sensor on it, so when it saw this light, it would push the button. The reason I'm telling you all that is because this is just some guy in his garage trying to figure something out, but he's got a 3D printer. He's got a computer, and he's got an internet, and he's got the ability to write an app specifically for the little thing he's going to do right there. And so that's the kind of, like, when you get to that level of, and then you teach somebody something from that level. In other words, somebody comes online, they've never been online, they've never had the opportunity to see all these different things, and you show them how to do something. You don't have to tell them why you put yeast in bread for them to bake bread. All you have to do is tell them that they need yeast. They need X amount of yeast. There's a guy by the name of Peter Diamandis. I should get some of his audio right now. He started something called the X Prize, and there's over here in the Silicon Valley, there is the old Moffett Field has been turned into, Google leased it for 60 years, and they rent it out. Carnegie Mellon's out there. Everybody's out there. This guy put this thing together called the X Prize, and each year people come there and they present. And so he's got this thing where he's saying the abundance of the future. If you would like, I could dig that up if you want to talk here jump in for a few minutes. I could dig that up. We have a few minutes before the end of the show. I might be able to get in some of the positive stuff that he has to say about the future. Now, obviously he was talking about this before what we're going through right now. So,
go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Go for it, man. Go for it. Yeah, so we're just talking about some stuff today, folks. Don't get your underwear all knotted up, man. We're just looking at the world, right? And if there's one thing the way I've chosen to live has taught me is that you don't need a lot to be happy, man. And in fact, a lot of the stuff around you is probably making you unhappy. Human beings are happiest when they have a life experience. And a life experience is as close to your definition of how you want to live as possible. And if you're willing to live in a more simple sustenance way, the way I do on this mountain, you have a lot of time. I mean, you have a lot of tension taken out of your body and your mind. and you begin to think and perceive everything around you differently. And it's particularly potent if you transplant. And what I mean by that was you were raised in the rigor of the first world and the pacing of it, like a Kentucky Derby colt, right? I mean, that's how we're raised. We're raised to perform. You look at our education system, the pressure put on kids to get into good universities and all of this sort of stuff, right? It's kind of global now. You know, the Indians and the Chinese are in on it in a big way.
Preferentially feeds us negative stories.
You don't have to live that
Destruction,
way.
tornado,
recession,
default, doomsday.
Consequences.
Bin Laden's death have spiked.
Famine
right?
in Somalia.
Police. There's things you lose when you live that way. It's absolutely true. You know, life isn't always a mission statement. Sometimes it is. And I'm glad I have the ability to treat life as a mission statement when it needs to be treated that way. And my compatriots on this mountain, they don't have that. And it is something they're lacking. Like if you were to create a kind of good human being that had a lot of different skills, you'd want that in there. They don't have it. You know, and it's the product of being raised in a super relaxed environment.
Okay, we're all set.
Ready to go. There you go.
Here we go.
Threats in the wake of Bin Laden's death have spiked.
Famine in Somalia.
Police pepper spray.
Vicious cartels.
Caustic cruise lines. Societal decay. 65 dead.
Tsunami warning.
Cyber attacks.
Drug war.
Mass destruction. Tornado.
Recession. Default. Doomsday.
Egypt.
Syria. Crisis. Death. Disaster. Oh my God.
So those are just a few of the clips I collected over the last 6 months. Could have easily been the last 6 days or the last 6 years. The point is that the news media preferentially feeds us negative stories because that's what our minds pay attention to. And there's a very good reason for that. Every second of every day, our senses bring in way too much data that we can possibly process in our brains. And because nothing is more important to us than survival, the first stop of all of that data is an ancient sliver of the temporal lobe called the amygdala. More than doubled. Average per capita man has more than doubled. Now, I'm not saying we don't have our set of problems. Climate crisis, species extinction, water and energy shortage, we surely do. And as humans, we are far better at seeing the problems way in advance, but ultimately, we knock them down. So let's look at what this last century has been to see where we're going. Over the last 100 years, the average human lifespan has more than doubled. Average per capita income adjusted for inflation around the world has tripled. Childhood mortality has come down a factor of 10. Add to that the cost of food, electricity, transportation, communications have dropped 10 to 1,000-fold. Steve Pinker has showed us that, in fact, we're living during the most peaceful time ever in human history. And Charles Kenny, that global literacy has gone from 25% to over 80% in the last 130 years. We truly are living in an extraordinary time. And many people forget this. And we keep setting our expectations higher and higher. In fact, we redefine what poverty means. Think of this. In America today, the majority of people under the poverty line still have electricity, water, toilets, refrigerators, television, mobile phones, air conditioning, and cars. The wealthiest robber barons of the last century, the emperors on this planet, could have never dreamed of such luxuries. Underpinning much of this is technology, and of late, exponentially growing technologies. My good friend Ray Kurzweil showed that any tool that becomes an information technology jumps on this curve, on Moore's law, and experiences price performance doubling every 12 to 24 months. That's why the cell phone in your pocket is literally 1,000,000 times cheaper and 1,000 times faster than the supercomputer of the 70s. Now look at this curve. This is Moore's law over the last 100 years. I want you to notice two things from this curve. Number one, how smooth it is.
We got to stop it there, man. But listen, I'm going to drop the link for this over here in your box there. Listen, abundance is in our future. Peter Diamandis, he is one of the futurists to pay attention to, ladies and gentlemen. Don't listen to boogeyman stories. Listen to the people who know what's going on in the world and see the future that's possible. You know, the thing is the political aspect of what's going on. We can only conceive or think of governments as what we have experienced in the past. And maybe what we need to look for in the future is a different way, a way that we haven't thought of before, because every other way has been, propagated to us by somebody. We don't need the same sort of government systems as we've had in the past. I mean, I think we need a streamlined system. And I think, things should be more autonomous, and, laws being passed should be between the people that live in the area where the law's being passed, I think, and everybody can make their own decisions. But Bruce, man, I don't know. We can have a positive future, or we can go down the drain. I hope we move into the future in a positive way, man. But I am definitely stocking up right now in the next 30 days.
Yeah, we did a brilliant job of keeping away from the immediate and salacious in this show today, which is, I think, a byproduct of my news fast. So you get more conceptual. But yeah, there's a lot of cool things going on in the world. And there's something going on in the Anglo-American Empire, which consists of two countries right now. It'll manifest itself in the near future, and we're either going to go off and do something on our own, and all of this Tesla technology drop they're talking about coming out of America is going to happen, or it's not. And I don't know what to say if it's not. I mean, maybe this is the death of a salesman that was predicted in the great play by Arthur Miller. Right? Maybe that was a soliloquy for America right back then in the 50s. Maybe he got it right. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Who knows, man? But change is always hard, folks. And that's MacDonald in the Morning for Friday, October 2nd. We'll see you on Monday. Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you. All right. There it is. Another one bites the dust. Let me find this chat room. I can't even see it. I'm sorry I haven't been chatting with you guys. All right, I'm going to get going. I got lots of stuff to do today. So I got to go finish stocking wood. So in the meantime, here's Tommy Bolin, and I got to go.
My father